So today we are taking a very special look, not only at the game itself, but also some of the world first gameplay. Let's go ahead and meet the team.
I'm Chad Robertson, the general manager at Archetype Entertainment. I'd like to introduce James Ohlen, our studio head. James.
So yeah, I'm the head of the studio and the creative head for the Exodus franchise. We're also having a special guest star, the guy behind Secret Level, Tim Miller.
It is my honor to be here as a longtime friend of James, and we've been working with them on Exodus for a while.
I heard today we may have something else here. So how about we see some world premiere gameplay from this game?
Preparing to transfer now. This is your last chance to bail, June.
Do it. Loaded weapon is a hell of a way to greet your new partner.
So you're June.
We're burning time. Now that we're all best of friends, let's make each other rich.
I'm not just here to look pretty. I've got away with celestial tech.
I see a lot of potential in this new partnership.
Let me light the way for you.
Target acquired. Many thanks again for your help. You should have been honest.
This place is forbidden. The price is death.
That's what it means to be a traveler.
This game has an interesting name and an even more interesting kind of sub-name to it. So what exactly is Exodus and what are the travelers?
The entire setting is based around the Exodus from Earth, and it's also something that we've called the journeys that the traveler makes when they are going off to other star systems. Now, the traveler is essentially what the player plays as. They're very influential people because they're like tip of the spear on technology, but they're also the people who are making political decisions and societal decisions that impact how the world is going to evolve.
Yeah, there's an element to them too that's elite, and it's special to be a traveler, and so we really want to celebrate that in terms of the growth of the player throughout the experience that players will have.
One of those things that they explained to me early on, that you have these disparate worlds all spread out, and they all have different levels of technology, sometimes extremely far apart, but they don't necessarily help each other. It's not like there's one humanity and everybody is moving towards a singular bright future. It's very competitive environment. So these, especially like the new humans that are just off the ark, that just arrived, they're put on backwater worlds and they have to go scavenge other technology to bootstrap themselves into this new society, which is pretty cool.
Who are we going to be playing? Who was your inspiration, or what was your inspiration for June? Was it based on someone or something in particular, or do you guys have, what is your vision for this character?
It's kind of a complicated question because June has to have a personality. There's a lot of acting that goes into all those scenes, but at the same time, June has to be your character. The choices you make kind of help define who June is as a person. Where did June come from? I don't want to say this because all my writers would murder me, but Indiana Jones times Paul Mahdi, Paul Atreides, because June has the serious task of, leading their world, but they're also a fun person, as you can see in the clips there, and they're also going on adventures. So it's kind of that combination.
And he or she has an incredible backstory that we will reveal at some time. And Tim helped us create that story too, that we'll share once the time comes.
With this trailer, we're seeing all sorts of new things. We're seeing enemy types, we're seeing new environments, we're seeing, most importantly, we're seeing how the player interacts with them. What approach are you guys taking with this game? What's going to be, not necessarily the minute-to-minute gameplay, but what's going to be our more overarching style of gameplay?
We're kind of doing what we know best, which is while you do go on missions, and those missions have lots of optional areas that you'll be able to explore, you can decide how you want to explore the missions, like which ones you want to go on first, and how you're going to explore them. And then there might be things that you do on your home world that unlock stuff on missions that you wouldn't normally be able to do. Yeah, so it's very much similar to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic or a Mass Effect or a Dragon Age Origins. That's the model that we have gone with.
I'm not just here to look pretty. I've got away with celestial tech.
How is our character going to be progressing? Are we going to be like really specializing June to do something, or is it going to be more of like kind of just complementary to what we're doing already? How are you guys approaching that?
Progression for us takes a multitude of forms. Like we look at choice in several different levels. So there's sort of the choice in terms of how you approach minute-to-minute gameplay, and we give some options in combat that we think players will like in terms of how they deal with different scenarios and fights that they get into. But the choices they make across, the bigger parts of the story lead to manifestations back in places like your home world in the game that we think will be unique, and those affect both more the immediate term in terms of your loved ones and your companions, but then those choices also impact and resonate across much longer periods of time. And it's through time dilation, like we've said, that is really the way that we're able to achieve that. But if you look at the choices in terms of the player's going to make in terms of their personal progression, it takes the form of a couple different things. There's progression for your companions, there's progression for you, where you can make choices in terms of your skill set and the abilities that you have. And then without going into too much detail, we've talked about a little bit about the way Livestone works in the game and the way what you see the player using in their gauntlet. There's some progression there that's pretty cool too as well. That's a unique feature of the game that we think players will like.
You also get to unlock different technologies according to how you use the remnants you bring back. Just imagine if Indiana Jones had to choose how to use the Ark of the Covenant. Do I use it as a super weapon against the Nazis, or do I bring it back to the US and use it as a font of knowledge to help the country become better? Like you'll have companions who have different opinions on it, and you have to decide. And then you go on an exodus and you come back and you get to see what your decision did. And also, you might have some weapons that weren't available before.
Loaded weapon is a hell of a way to greet your new partner.
So you're June.
We're burning time. Now that we're all best of friends, let's make each other rich.
What can we expect from the companions? Is it going to be the kind of thing where there's a couple people with us, or are we going to have like a team? And how far are you guys really wanting to go with that?
Well, you have a team. You don't bring your entire team on every mission. You have 2 team members with you on every mission, and your companions, you're going to be able to do a lot with them. You will have a relationship with every single one of your companions. You're going to be able to romance some of your companions. You're going to have your companions are sometimes going to be at each other's throats as the story progresses. You're going to be choosing to follow some companions' advice over the others, and that might rupture your relationship with those that you didn't side with, and your decisions are going to have huge impact. So there'll be there's a lot of relationship stuff there that's going to happen that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and the slate of them overall, we think is really going to be compelling. We've introduced 2 that you can see on our website. And if you look closely at the trailer, you'll get a glimpse of a few more. But there's more to come. And not to be the constant tease, but ultimately that set of things that we have available in this universe to deliver through the characters and through the companions specifically that you'll play with, we think is pretty cool. And it's a nice part of the IP. Also,
some of the companions change radically depending upon some of the choices you make. It's because with time dilation, we can just, if you leave a companion behind, imagine all the changes that they can go through while you're gone. For them, it might be a decade, which also makes the artist crazy, because it's like they have to like, okay, so we just can't do this companion. We have to do the companion 10 years older. And maybe even older. So
Many thanks again for your help. You should have been honest.
Tim and Blur are going to be showing off today because it's like the secret level episode of Exodus.
Oh,
And
right on.
it really
Yeah.
focuses on what time dilation.
Which is out now, by the way. Is it out right now? Can people go watch it?
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
out right now.
Kat is saying not only is it out, I've heard a lot of very favorable things so far already.
There
so
you
That's
go.
good.
Good job.
That's
Nice.
Very, very cool.
I love that story. I happen to have personally wrote that one. Of all the 15, that was the only one I was super involved with every day. And it's based on a Jack London story that I really love called Odyssey of the North that was a love story that takes place over 20 years or so. And we switched it to an Exodus friendly universe, but it just seemed very apropos because for the hero in that story, his love remained unchanged, but his love interest changed greatly, and it felt like it fit Exodus in a really interesting way. So if you're going to steal from the best.
Nice.
Yep.
Been seeing a lot of questions from chat. Is it single player or co-op?
Single player.
Perfect. I think you mentioned this earlier, but what platforms are we going to be available on?
PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC.
Awesome. Somebody asked, if I like Mass Effect, how hard will I like your game?
Really hard.
Really hard.
Really hard. Okay, there we go. Do you know what?
Drew Karpyshyn, the lead writer of Mass Effect 1 and 2, who's anyway.
So maybe even ultra hard. Thank you, James, Chad, and Tim. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. See you
Thank
later.
you. We really appreciate
Yep.
the time and the support.
Absolutely.